Hey guys, this is Ginger out of Epidemic coming at you again with another guide. This one is going to be for Howling Abyss. Now there is a greater version for this as a level 50 dungeon, and the regular version which requires level 40. Bosses in here are still around level 45, so it's still difficult to do at just 40. When you're going through and you're selecting the dungeon, you get 4 options. 2 are for resets, 1 for the greater version, 1 for the normal version, 1's for greater Howling Abyss, and 1's for the regular version. For this one, like I said, we're just going to do the regular Howling Abyss. That way we can go through, show you the mechanics. Now in the greater version, they do more damage. The speed at which they kick out their attacks and abilities also increases. Now with this dungeon, we are going to note one thing. I'm running Oromancy. In the greater version, you're going to need about 2 to 3 Oromancies at the very least for that Protective Wings skill. You're going to see me here in a second switching up some of my abilities just because I need to pick that up for the 3rd boss, and even the 2nd boss, it helps out a lot. As we continue going through this guide and going through the dungeon, I'm going to be speeding up bits and pieces on the trash mobs that we really don't need to have a bunch of footage for. Try to condense this run in as much of the information that's important, and at the same time blaze through the stuff that isn't. This is going to be a full run. You're going to see every last bit that we did. The only things you're not going to see is where I'm explaining to some of the new people in our group kind of exactly how the bosses work, so I do cut those out. Like I said, Protective Wings, huge. You need to have at least 1 in your group. We try to run 2 to 3. In the greater version, 3 is a must. So let's just go ahead and get started here. So we're going to stop and make a note here just to give you guys a little bit of an ease in some of these rooms. You're going to notice there are some guys above you in this room here that are dropping barrels on you when they aggro. Barrels do a fair amount of AoE damage, and they're just really annoying. They'll knock you off the vine here in a second and everything. There's cannons placed around the room. All we do is we go through and shoot them with the cannons, one-shots them. So at this point, you've worked your way up from the very first room that you walk into. You just wrap around on the ledge, you come in, and there's 1 of 2 spots that's going to spawn a treasure chest. It's either going to be the room to the right or the room that you walk in at the first entryway here. All you have to do is kill the ads that are guarding it, pick it up. You don't need to do both packs unless you're farming for items here. Alright, so that key that we picked up in the chest behind, we just use that to open the grate. So whoever picked up the key opens the grate. Now, the key with these hatchlings here, these eggs, all you gotta do is aggro them. They'll hatch, you grab a torch from one of the sides, you throw the torch on them, and they just get wiped out quick. It's a lot of area damage, it's very effective versus these snakes, and it just makes it a lot easier on your group to clearing through them. So we've cleared to this point. There's this big wooden barrier in front of the store. All you gotta do is pick up a torch. It's about 4 torches on that wall. Burns the wall down, lets us into the boss room. Really simple. Hey guys, here we are on our first boss of the dungeon, Howling Abyss. This is going to be Viborous. He has really easy mechanics to deal with. The only 3 that we really need to worry about are going to be his charge, his ice shards, and his eggs. Now the way his ice shards work is the first one we'll deal with. He's going to spawn little blue circles under the feet of random players. Now if you stay in this for too long, you're going to take a 2nd hit. It's going to do damage on a large scale and freeze you solid. If a healer gets stuck in this, that can be 3 to 5 seconds. Your healer's not getting any heals out. That can be crucial in a fight. Now the second mechanic of the boss, he's going to cast hatchlings. When he casts this spell, it's going to spawn 2 to 4 eggs on the map. Now, you want to turn and burn these, because if you don't kill them quick enough, they're going to spawn a couple ads in there, and you're just not going to want to deal with that while your party's fighting the boss. The 3rd mechanic we're going to worry about is his charge. The charge mechanic puts an arrow above someone's head. Now when this happens, he's going to be charging at that person in a few seconds. So when you have an arrow under your head, you want to position yourself where you're not in line with anyone else in your party. Otherwise he's going to charge at you, and he's going to run over a party member. I'm showing you an example here where I almost got my healer stunned, and that could have made a big difference if you're playing in the greater version. As long as you can avoid most of these mechanics, it's going to be one of the easiest encounters in the entire dungeon, so just enjoy your free loot and move on to the next boss. As you move through this dungeon, there are going to be droppable items. These items can be picked up and used to clear out some of the adds a lot easier. Now you'll notice we just picked up a mallet off this big guy, and we're going to spin through, play bowling balls, and move along much quicker through the dungeon. Here's another spot with items you can use. There's a barrel to the side. Now the barrel won't one-shot these eggs, but they will one-shot the things later in the video. So we just want to help burn down what the barrel doesn't kill. Now you're going to have 2 encounters in the dungeon with the Medusa and her 3 guards. All you got to do is kill Medusa as quick as you can, make any loot you need, roll on that loot as fast as possible, and you pick up her eye. Use that eye to use a gaze. It goes ahead and it stuns all the nearby guardians, and then you can just pick them off with one shot. Now, if you had problems getting to this spot, it's probably because you didn't pick the trade pack ups in the last area. When you pick up the trade packs, all you gotta do is lay them down on the little stone plates there. There's 3 of them. Open the gate, hit a lever, climb up the vine. Now, when you move into this area, there are 3 cannons over at this spot. All you have to do is jump on them, shoot them at the guys, make sure you hit the barrels. Otherwise, what you're gonna do is what I do with the second ad. I don't kill it because I didn't hit all the barrels. Now, after you kill them, you can start the boss without having to worry about these guys dropping barrels on your heads. Here we start our second major encounter in the dungeon. This is going to be Godfrey. Now Godfrey's hardest parts of the entire fight are going to be his raid wiping phase, and also the phase right when you start him off. When he starts spinning around, the damage he does is significantly less than when he actually first aggroes. When he first aggro, he's going to come at you and hit you with some major hard swings. So you kind of want to get as much aggro on him with your tank and then back off and kite him a little bit until he starts spinning around the map. Now this can also be kite tanked. As you can see, I have aggro for a little bit, didn't take any damage. Now he does have 3 major things that we have to worry about. The first one, it's going to be his ice soldiers. We're not going to kill these ads as he spawns them, because he's going to put up a big flame where he turns into a fire and he does a huge AoE that'll one-shot your raid in the greater version if you don't get yourself frozen. Now when he turns into fire, you run to the ice guys, get yourself frozen, you take no damage. Or you can use that protective wings we talked about earlier and nobody in your raid will take any damage. Now moving on from this, the second thing he does is it's called Godfrey's Massacre Axe. Now when he casts this, sparks are going to go under your character's feet. It procs 3 times. If you're still in it on the 3rd time, you're stunned and take a huge hit. Avoid those. Get out of them. The third thing that we're going to worry about in this fight is going to be just his spinning. He jumps around and he spins. If you're holding spill, when he spins on you, he puts massive bleed on you and big damage. You avoid these 3 things, coordinate with your tank to pop invincibility, and during the flame phases, make sure you use your protective wings or get frozen, and you're going to be getting through this boss without a trouble. So here we're going to start Caleil, the 3rd encounter in Howling Abyss. Now, he isn't just a prick to deal with. He's all magic damage. It's really good to have a cloth-wearing tank for this fight, and everything's based on positioning. You even have to almost gimmick the fight and not use what the developers kind of tried to make the strategy for. The way we set it up is we set up our tank on the torch pit, we set up any melee that we bring along on the first geyser. If we don't bring a melee, we send one ranged down there, and then we set 2 of our ranged up on the ledge where you see me at, and then we set our healer on the club area that kind of breaks sleep, so that we kind of just ignore the mechanic altogether. Now the big thing with him is just trying to burn him down and survive. We don't deal with the ads, we don't deal with anything other than avoiding the water, avoiding the silence arrows, and avoiding the fireball. Now if you have protective wings like we talked about earlier, you can get in there and make him do no damage to your tank, and it really takes off a lot of ease on your healer. Melee have an exceptional hard time with this boss fight. Now, he shoots out a silence arrow, puts a black ball on you. You need to move out of that. He shoots out a fireball, puts a fireball on you. You need to move out of that. And lastly, he puts people to sleep. Still haven't quite figured out why he does this. It seems to be random at this point. You gotta move away from that. Other than that, your range makes the pull, your tank lassos onto you, and you just go ahead and finish the boss off. So we've made it to the final encounter of the regular Howling Abyss, the big Rimcrin boss. Now with him, he has a few skills that we need to worry about once again. He's much more manageable than the third boss, so if you've made it this far, you're generally going to kill him. Now he's going to have shields randomly around the map. When you get a green line like here tagged to you, all you need to do is go pick up that shield, pop the shield. If you don't pop the shield, you're going to be stunned. Now if both members or all 3 members that get linked to him don't pop a shield, then he won't get stunned. So this can be really crucial to make sure that you pop that shield, get him in that stun, and then it lets your healer heal up your tank, and it prevents a lot of damage in the meantime too. Moving on, he's got a rampage that he uses. It's a cast. If he starts moving that, just get away from him for a little bit. He's just going to do a massive small AoE around him. He also has a charge. The charge is a frontal attack, so just move to the side out of his front, and you'll be fine once again. Now, somewhere around 40 to 50% health. He gets his scales go red on his body. He gets frenzied debuff on him. All you need to do is go and grab one of the secret weapons that are laid around. Usually helpful to have 2 members go and grab them. These secret weapons tend to glitch out a little bit. They can be hard to get to go where you want it, and so it's really important that you need to go ahead and have a few people shoot at us. During this time, I find it best for the tank to pop invincibility. It prevents the Rimkin from doing a lot of damage during the frenzy, and it keeps him kind of in a spot so you can get that arrow off on him and remove that buff. That's pretty much it for this fight, guys. Once you beat him, you're done with the regular version. There is one more boss in the Greater Howling Abyss, and I hope to get some footage of that here soon. Otherwise, just go ahead and enjoy your free loot.